that's why my money green. They say I can't win a Grammy, I'ma do it for the team. It's okay to color green, cause that's all. But the next thing I have to watch, the Chinese takeaway animated urban horror story. It's been a misdirect to a little true crime. Nah, I mean a little horror. I do like these. I don't know if this is a true story. It's not really a true crime then if it's not a true story, but I do like these and I do want to react to this stuff. I'm not gonna lie to you. I seen this one and I said this might be a good one for us boys and girls. So I said we hop straight into it. Alright,
It's never easy trying to get employed without any work experience. So I considered myself quite lucky when I got my first job working the late shift at a local Chinese takeaway back in early 2000. I didn't really mind working nights that much, but it could get really boring at times. I was still in college.
whoa! Get your snacks. Get your bevs. And let's get straight into it. My bad, I forgot to say that. We proceed.
You see, so working the late shift was the only option since I had classes to attend during the day. Although I did miss hanging out with my friends after class. The boss was quite strict with the rules, but the gist of it was to never leave the restaurant unattended or keep the customers waiting. Although I found the door chime that was triggered by an infrared sensor a little bit over the top. Not everything was perfect, of course. The scruffy Edwardian terrace houses and rising crime rates certainly left a lot to be desired, and the neighborhood had seen better days. I remember that it was especially quiet that night, with fewer customers than you might expect for a Friday. But apart from that, my shift began pretty much like any other shift. Anyway, about 5 hours into my shift, near closing time, I received a phone call. That was a little different than usual.
Not eating no popcorn seed.
The reception wasn't all that great, so I had trouble understanding everything she was saying. But she explained that she lived in the apartment upstairs and wanted to make a simple order and was wondering if someone could bring it to her door, since she was an elderly lady and was worried about taking the stairs. I was hesitant at first because I really wasn't supposed to leave the restaurant unattended, but since it was only going to take a few seconds, I decided to do the right thing and help the old lady out.
Make sure you close that front door.
Her order was rather odd though. Chicken soup without any seasoning whatsoever. Her instructions were to simply take the order to the top of the stairs and the money would be placed under the door. As soon as the order was ready, I waited for a few minutes until no one else was around, which didn't take long, since it was such a quiet night anyway. When I came out onto the street, I looked up at the windows of the apartment. But all the lights were out, and one of the windows was open, which I thought was strange considering how cold it was that night. Opening the door to the main apartment unleashed a strong gust of air, and I acknowledged a notable chill as I observed the old...
Nah. I'm not going up there. I'm not going up there. You got to come down these stairs and get this food, meet me at this door. I'm not going up there. Before this door locks behind me and I can't get back to the restaurant. Before someone up there grabs me or brings me into the room. I'm not gonna lie to you. If someone were to grab me, I'm falling back onto the stairs, bro. And I'm grabbing you and taking you with me. And we're going overboard onto these steps. I don't even care. We're gonna fall out into that road. Because I'm letting you know that right now. I refuse to go up these steps.
Staircase. Seeing how the door was slightly ajar, I thought perhaps she was waiting for me at the door. But it was too dark to see inside. When I glanced down at the floor, I noticed there wasn't any money.
Nigga, you better run. Nigga, you better run. Y'all boys and girls can't see what I'm seeing. He better run, boy. That ain't no joke for you. You better run. You don't see that boy at the door?
So I tried to get her attention by knocking a few times until eventually I heard the familiar chime of the restaurant doorbell. This caused me to hurry back down the stairs and peek my head around the corner. Fearing the worst, I was relieved to see that my boss wasn't out on the street, wondering where the hell I was. And when I approached the window to the restaurant, I was surprised to see that there were no customers either. Just a black cat that had snuck into the restaurant, now just staring at one of the chairs as if someone was sitting there.
'Cause animals can sense spirits. My boy, you're cooked. I feel like you should literally... I wouldn't even go back upstairs or in the restaurant. I would just stand outside. If a customer comes, let's go.
I'll be honest, this creeped me out a little, but I think I was more concerned with the prospect of my boss finding a cat in the restaurant, given his disdain for felines and animals in general. Anyway, eventually the cat left on its own after a while, and I went back behind the counter and decided to call the old lady's number to make sure she received the order and if it was a good time for me to stop by and pick up the money.
You know what I would do if she didn't answer? I would go to my boss and be like, yo, I got food for the old lady upstairs, bro. And she didn't think. He was like, bro, there's no old lady that lives upstairs. Oh, I got finessed.
However, when I called the number, I realized that the line was disconnected. I wasn't quite sure what to do next, because I wasn't supposed to be making any deliveries. But since it was just a chicken soup, I decided to take some of the cash I had on me and place it into the cash register, just so the boss wouldn't give me an earful later on.
Smart.
I could always stop by the old lady's apartment sometime tomorrow to pick up the money anyway. The next half an hour or so after that were quite uneventful. The rest of the staff had already finished up and headed home, and my boss followed shortly afterwards. I was used to being the last to leave, and locking up was part of the job description.
Okay.
I really didn't want to stick around any longer than I needed to, so I closed up and locked the door before finally heading down the street. However, a quick subtle glance through the window as I walked past was enough to cause me to stop as I experienced what I can only describe as déjà vu. The black cat had once again found its way into the restaurant, sitting at the exact same spot, staring at the chair. Needless to say, I couldn't just leave the cat trapped.
Stop! I would've went home. But you can't leave the cat in there, though. If you leave the cat in there, nigga, you might lose your job. You're not even thinking about it being duppy. You're just thinking about, bro, if I can't have this random ass cat in this store.
Inside the restaurant all night, so I unlocked the door and opened it slightly, while trying to get the cat to come back out onto the street. But the cat just ignored me and instead disappeared behind the counter. However, as I approached the cat, my blood turned to ice when I heard the chime at the front door.
I don't even know what I would have done, boy. Yo. If I heard the chime at the door, looked over there and saw nobody... I don't even think I'd run. I'm not even gonna sit here and lie. I don't even think I'd run. I think I'd grab the cat and try to use it as a shield.
That's when I saw something that caused me to gasp and hold my breath. I couldn't see her face, not because it was too dark, but she was facing the opposite direction, as if she had just stepped outside. I thought about trying to get her attention, but after a while of just standing there at the door, she eventually made her way down the street. I could feel my heart pounding through my chest as she slowly passed by the window, which was soon followed by an uncanny silence. At some point, I did tell a colleague about what I saw that night, and judging by the description of the old lady, he told me that it sounded eerily similar to the lady that used to live in the apartment upstairs. Apparently, she died just a few months ago after suffering a severe fall, and the apartment had been vacant ever since. I didn't tell him about the phone call or my attempts to deliver the order to the apartment, which made what he told me next even more chilling. He went on to say that she was a regular customer at the restaurant and was remembered fondly for always ordering unseasoned chicken so she could share it with the neighborhood cat.
Oh my God!
Needless to say, working the late shift never felt quite the same after that night.
The cat. The cat sensed her presence. The cat said, yo, this is Mandem. This is the girl that always comes and gives us soup. She always comes and gives us that good soup. Unseasoned chicken soup. And boom, they over here. Yo. Yeah, see? See? I can't do the ducky thing though. I'm not gonna lie to you. That would still cook me. I think I would have had to switch my shift hours. I'm switching my shift hours after that. Ain't no way I see a ducky late at night. You're gonna tell me I have to have to work? What do you mean I still have to work? I'm not working. What do you mean I still have to work? I'm not working. I'm not working. The cat's waiting. Oh. The old lady's at the window. She's at the window. I'm about to say, this isn't based on a true story. This isn't based on a true story.